Welcome to a new module of this course, in which you'll learn how to enhance your Power BI reports by adding different types of new elements. In this lesson, we will focus on enhancing the interactivity of your Power BI reports. Interactivity allows users to engage with your data in meaningful ways, exploring different aspects and uncovering deeper insights. By the end of the lesson, you'll be able to add slicers and filters to make your reports more dynamic and user-friendly. Slicers are a powerful tool in Power BI that allow users to filter data on the report canvas. They provide an intuitive way to narrow down data and focus on specific segments. There are different types of slicers. Category slicers. They allow users to filter data based on categorical fields, such as regions, departments, or product lines. Date slicers. They enable users to filter data by date ranges, making it easy to analyze trends over time. Numeric slicers. They are useful for filtering data within a specific numeric range, such as sales figures or ratings. Best practices for slicers. Placement. Position slicers where they are easily accessible and logically connected to the visuals they filter. Formatting. Ensure slicers are clearly labeled and styled consistently with the rest of your report. Interactivity. Use slicers to create interactive dashboards that allow users to explore different data scenarios. Filters in Power BI enable you to control the data that is displayed in your visuals. You can apply filters at different levels: visual, page, and report. Visual level filters. They apply to a single visual, allowing you to refine the data displayed in that specific chart or table. Page-level filters. They affect all the visuals on a particular report page, useful for creating page-specific insights. And report-level filters. They apply to all pages and visuals in the report, providing a consistent filtering context across the entire report. Best practices for filters. Clarity. Clearly indicate which filters are applied to ensure users understand the context of the data they are viewing. Layering. Combine different levels of filters to provide a nuanced view of the data without overwhelming the user. Dynamic filtering. Use dynamic filters to allow users to adjust their view based on real-time data inputs. Combining slicers and filters can create a highly interactive and user-friendly Power BI report. Here are some tips for effectively combining these features. Consistent design. Maintain a consistent design and layout for all interactive elements to provide a cohesive user experience. Clear instructions. Provide clear instructions or tooltips to guide users on how to interact with the report. Performance considerations. Be mindful of performance impacts when using multiple interactive features, especially with large datasets. By implementing these interactivity features, you can create Power BI reports that are not only visually appealing but also highly functional and user-friendly. In this demo, you'll get to see in practice how you can quickly change the subset of data you're looking at in the report with the help of slicers. You will also learn how each visual on a report page impacts the others and how you can influence this by using the Edit Interactions functionality. First, I will create a copy of the last report page we worked on. So I will duplicate it and call the new one Expenses V4. Let's do a quick summary of what we see on this report page. On top, we have the annual expenses and income. The main visual is a bar chart detailing the expenses per month. I just selected it and dragged the dark frame handles a bit to the right to make the chart smaller. And below the chart, there's a matrix with even more information about these expenses. I dragged the matrix to the right as well to make some space for other visuals on this report page. But what if you want to be able to only look at some specific categories of expenses and filter out the ones that don't interest you? In this case, you can add a slicer. A slicer is the visual over here. I can add it on the screen, and then from the expenses table, I can select the expense category. So if I selected food, now I see for every month how much I spent on food. The data is filtered in the same manner when selecting the other options: fun, or utilities. What kind of customizations can you do to this visual? In my opinion, the most important are the slicer settings. You can choose the style. Right now we have a vertical list, but you can also select tile, which changes the aspect like this. And you can make this a drop-down in case you don't want the visual to take up a lot of space on the page. Let's leave it a vertical list. The selection is also an important setting. You can configure the visual to accept only one selected item at a time. When enabling this option, the checkboxes are changed to radio buttons, and it's impossible to have more than one selected value. You can multi-select using the control button, and you can add the option to select all items. If you have a slicer with many values and you don't want to select them one by one, you can use the select all and save some time. You can customize the font and colors, but I will leave everything as is for the moment. Now let's say that you also want to restrict the data you're analyzing even more by choosing the type of expense or the subcategory. To make this happen, let's add another slicer with the expense type. Now the report works like this. When I make a selection of an expense category, I get this information about all spendings related to that category. The second slicer contains only expense types from the category I selected. So these items are linked to food, this is for fun, and utilities. If I want to go in depth and only see a subcategory of spending, I will choose the desired value from the second slicer. Now the report only shows me what was spent on gas or on electricity. So this is the interactivity that everyone loves in Power BI. Whenever I click on a value in the slicers, everything in my report gets automatically updated. But let's now take a look at the annual expenses and income card and remember its purpose. It should show the total amount of money that was spent and the income for an entire year. At this moment, when I make a selection from the slicers, actually also when I click on the bar chart or on the table, the expenses value reflects the current selection. What I had in mind for this visual was to be something static, to show the same information no matter what we're looking at in the other visuals. There is a way we can do that. Let's go to the Format tab and click on the Edit Interactions button. What happened is that some icons appeared for every visual that you have on the page. A small chart with a filter and a no impact icon symbolized by the Greek letter phi. When you see these icons on the visuals, you can decide how they interact with each other like this. First, click on a visual. Let's start with the categories of expenses. This means that you will decide how the other visuals will act when you make a selection from here. Then, for every other visual, you can click on either the chart or the no impact icon. The chart means that the selection from this visual will cross-filter the other visualizations on the page, while the no impact icon means that they will remain unchanged. For the card, I will select no impact because I don't want the values to change based on the selection from the categories. But for the chart, the table, and the expense types, I will select the other tiny icon, meaning that these visuals will be impacted by what is being selected in the expense categories slicer. Now we need to do the same for every other visual. Click on the expense types. Let's decide that the card will remain unchanged and also the expense categories filter. The chart and the table will be updated. Let's do the same for the bar chart. When we make a selection over here, we don't want the card and the slicers to be changed. So only the table will be affected. And the same for the table. When you're done with the interactions, just click again on the Edit Interactions button and the tiny icons will disappear. Notice that making different selections on the visuals from the report page does not affect the card in any way. So this is how different visuals interact with each other in a report. And if the behavior you see isn't exactly what you wanted, you can always come back to Edit Interactions and make the desired adjustments. In this demo, let's say you only want to look at the data about food. So you don't need a slicer with all the expense categories. You want to create a report page that only shows how much you spent on food. First, let's copy the most recent report page and rename it Food Expenses. In the Filters pane, we can add a page filter with the expense category and only choose Food. Notice the two icons over here. The first is Clear Filter, which removes the filter, and the other is Hide, which will make this filter invisible when you publish the report in Power BI service. Now the data only shows food. You can see that the slicer was also updated and it now has a single category. So we can remove this slicer altogether. Also, if you need space on the report page, you can replace the expense type slicer with a filter from the Filters pane. I will add it just as I did with the previous one. Drag the expense type column in the filter on this page area, and now I can remove the slicer. And you can perform the same selection from the filter pane now. Enabling Require Single Selection will only allow one item to be chosen at a time. The difference between using page filters and using a slicer is that when using the filter pane, all visuals are affected by the selection, while when using a slicer, you can use the Edit Interactions functionality and select which visualization is impacted by the slicer selection. So now if you look at the annual expenses from the card, the value gets updated when the filter is changed, showing only the expenses from that expense type. If you want to add a date filter, you need to have a date column and drag it to the Filters pane. I want to use a date filter only on the bar chart. For this, I make sure the bar chart is selected, then I will drag the date column from the expenses table to the filters on this visual area in the Filters pane. Let's see what options there are when using a date. Basic filtering allows you to select from the actual values present in the table. Switching to advanced filtering, you can select date intervals relative to a date. You can use the predicates is not, is after, is before, and so on, and then select a date from the calendar. Some interesting possibilities are offered by relative date and relative time. Choosing relative date, you can create a predicate like this. First, you specify the relative date range, such as in the last, in this, or in the next. You can then choose the time unit, days, weeks, months, years, and input the number of units to filter by. For example, setting the filter to in the last 10 months will display data from the last 10 months relative to today's date. This dynamic filtering option is particularly useful for creating up-to-date and automatically adjusting reports without needing manual updates. And by the way, you also have these options when using date filters in the slicers. How come we don't see 10 bars on the chart for the last 10 months? That's because the page still has the filter year equals 2023, so only the months from 2023 that are in the last 10 months category are present. If I remove this one, now the data from 2024 shows up. Let's also add the year-month column to make it more clear what we're looking at. Also, I added the date to the matrix to show that removing the year set on the page level affects all visuals. But playing with date filters on the bar chart does not affect the other visuals. Another interesting and easy to use feature of filters is the top N. Let's say I only want to see 5 months in my chart, and they should be the months with the highest expenses. The chart needs to be selected. First, let's remove the date filter. I will also remove the month from the x-axis and only leave year-month. Now, in the year-month filter for this visual, in the filter type, besides basic and advanced filtering, I can also select top N. Let's do that. This will open a configuration panel where you can specify the number of top or bottom entries you want to display. Enter the desired number in the input box. In our case, it's top 5. Then drag the field you want to rank, this is value USD, into the by value box. Power BI will now filter the visual to show only the top entries based on the specified metric, allowing you to highlight key data points such as highest expenses. Notice how easy it is to use top N filtering now, without custom columns or using DAX code. I hope it's clear from these demos how you can filter your report and make it interactive in a way that makes sense. In this lesson, we'll take a look at other visual elements which you can incorporate in your report. Incorporating additional elements such as text boxes, images, shapes, and buttons into your Power BI report is crucial for enhancing the overall effectiveness and user experience of your data presentations. These elements serve multiple purposes, from providing context and improving navigation to making your reports more visually appealing and engaging. Let's identify some advantages of using additional report elements in your reports. Providing context and clarity. Text boxes are important for adding context to your data visuals. They allow you to include titles, subtitles, descriptions, and explanations directly within your report. By providing clear and concise information, text boxes help users understand the purpose and significance of the data being presented. This clarity ensures that your audience can quickly grasp the key insights without needing additional explanations, making the report more accessible and informative. Enhancing visual appeal. Images and shapes play a significant role in making your reports visually appealing. Images such as logos or icons can help reinforce your brand identity and make your reports look professional. Shapes can be used to highlight important data points, create visual separations, or add decorative elements that make the report more engaging. A well-designed report that is visually appealing can capture and retain the audience's attention, making it more likely that they will spend time exploring the data and deriving insights. Improving navigation and interactivity. Buttons and bookmarks are powerful tools for improving navigation and interactivity within your reports. Buttons can be configured to perform various actions such as navigating to different report pages, resetting filters, or linking to external content. Bookmarks capture specific views or states of your report, allowing users to switch between different perspectives with a single click. These interactive elements make your reports more user-friendly by enabling users to explore data in a dynamic and intuitive manner. Improved navigation ensures that users can efficiently find the information they need, enhancing the overall user experience. Creating a cohesive and professional report. Using additional elements in a thoughtful and consistent manner helps create a cohesive and professional-looking report. Consistency in design elements such as font styles, colors, and layouts ensures that the report has a unified appearance. This consistency not only enhances the aesthetic appeal, but also aids in creating a seamless user experience. A well-structured report that is easy to navigate and visually appealing reflects positively on the report creator, conveying a sense of professionalism and attention to detail. Let's switch to Power BI and see how the report improves when adding additional visual elements. I'm looking at this report page, and while it's interactive and meets its purpose, the aspect is not great. I'll make the following adjustments to the visuals. Change the font, size, and color of the titles and headers for each control. Adjust the size of the visuals, play with the shapes, and maybe add some images and some buttons. First, let's work on the titles. I'll start with the title of the report. The font should be this one, size 16, and I will use the Pluralsight pink for the color. For the slicer, I'll change the slicer header settings. Use a similar font, a smaller size, and the same pink color. I'll do the same for the expense type. In the bar chart, I'm changing the title. In the matrix, these will be the column headers. And in the cart, I'm updating the category labels. Let's move down to the bar chart and change the color of the bars. They can be found in the columns area of the visual settings. Let's switch the color to inky blue, but also increase the transparency to make them look lighter. As for the matrix, changing the numeric values can be made from the values area. Text color and alternate text color. Also, let's not forget about the row totals text color. And the grid lines could also use an update. If you want some visuals to stand out, you can use shadows. These can be found in the general settings of a control in the Effects area. Let's add a shadow to the first slicer. Looking at the shadow settings, you can select the color, whether it should be on the outside or the inside of the control, and the position. And you have many positions to choose from. Bottom right, bottom left, right, center, etc. And custom. Choosing custom opens another set of settings. Let's only modify the distance and leave the other custom settings as they are. I will add the same shadow to the other visuals. This is the second slicer. Now the bar chart, the matrix, and the card. Now that there's a shadow on this card, I don't like the accent line and the border anymore, so I will remove them. Visual settings, cards, from the style area, remove the border position, and disable the accent bar. Now I want to resize the visuals a bit to make sure they are aligned, and also leave some space between them to make the page look clean and airy. Another thing I want to do is add a picture, like the company logo. Go to Insert, Image, and select the desired picture. I will use this image from Pluralsight and will place it in the top left corner before the title. Let's resize it a bit and also reposition the title. And now let's look at the report page. So this is where we started, and this is what we have now. There is quite a difference between the two versions of the same data. In my opinion, it's not necessary to decide how everything's going to look like before starting to actually work on the report. You just start with something and see what works. You should, however, try to paint a big picture of how your report should look like in the end, because otherwise you may get lost in all the settings and the options. Another way to group items that should be analyzed together is to use shapes. For example, let's say that we want to create two groups, one for the slicers and another with the chart and the table. First, let's duplicate the newest report page and call it General Expenses. I'm giving it this name because we're close to publishing the report and pages should have meaningful descriptions. I will go to Insert, Shape, and you see different shape options over here. I will choose a rounded rectangle and will surround the slicer with it. Let's make some adjustments, like the size, how rounded the corners should be. I think 20% is enough. In the style area, let's change the color to inky blue and increase the transparency to 45%. And disable the border. From the Format tab, I will click on Send Backwards and then Send to Back because the main visuals are still the slicers, not the shape. And I will reposition the shape to surround the slicers. Then I will copy-paste the shape and surround the chart and matrix with it. Let's change some settings for this one. The rounded corners should be like 10%. The color can be pink and transparency 0%. Go to Format, Send Backwards, and Send to Back for this shape as well. I will move the position of the card a bit, and we're done. Let's look again at where we started. This is the original page. This is the second version. This is the current one. So they are quite different. I want to show you one more thing that makes it easier to navigate between different report pages. These are the buttons. Before I add them, I will quickly do the following. Create a duplicate of this page. Rename it Food. Change the title to Food. Add a page level filter for the expense category to be Food. Remove the first slicer because we don't need it anymore. Reposition and resize the second slicer. Change the color of the large shape from pink to a different blue. Then I will duplicate this page and call it Utilities. Change the title to Utilities. Update the page level filter accordingly. And change the color of the shape. What I want to do next is to navigate from the general expenses to food and from food to utilities and back. If you go to the Insert tab and expand buttons, you see there are many button types you can choose from. I want to add a tiny arrow. Let's add it and move it to the bottom right corner. From the button settings, enable the action, select page navigation in the action type, and food as a destination. I will copy this button to the food page and change the destination to utilities. Then, I will add a similar button, but with the arrow to the left, and make it go to food. Then copy-paste on the food page and make it go to general expenses. The way buttons work in Power BI Desktop is by clicking on them and pressing on the control button. In Power BI Service, they will act as normal buttons. In this demo, I wanted to highlight that there are so many options to customize a report in Power BI. You just need to find your own or your customer's vision. The last thing I will do in this demo is to hide the previous report pages because we don't need them in the final report. Okay, now that we've created a report that shows useful information and has a satisfying aspect, we can publish it so that others can see it. In this lesson, we will explore how to publish and share your Power BI reports, ensuring your insights reach the right audience effectively. We will cover the steps to publish reports to the Power BI service, configure sharing settings, and discuss best practices for collaboration and access management. Publishing and sharing reports in Power BI offers many advantages that enhance collaboration, accessibility, and overall data-driven decision-making within an organization. Here are some key benefits. Enhanced collaboration. By publishing reports to the Power BI service, team members can easily collaborate in real time. Multiple users can view, interact with, and provide feedback on the same report, fostering a collaborative environment. This collaborative approach ensures that insights are shared across teams, leading to more informed and cohesive decision-making. Improved accessibility. Publishing reports online makes them accessible from anywhere at any time as long as there is an internet connection. This is particularly beneficial for remote teams or organizations with multiple locations. Stakeholders can access the latest data and insights on their computers, tablets, or smartphones, ensuring they are always informed and able to act fast. Centralized data management. The Power BI service provides a centralized platform for managing and distributing reports. This centralization simplifies data governance and ensures that all users are working with the most up-to-date information. It also allows administrators to control access and permissions more effectively, enhancing data security. Interactive and engaging reports. Published Power BI reports retain their interactive features, such as filters, slicers, and drill-through capabilities. Users can explore the data dynamically, making the reports more engaging and insightful. Consistent and up-to-date information. With reports published to the Power BI service, data can be refreshed automatically, ensuring that users always have access to the latest information. Enhanced security and compliance. Power BI offers robust security features, including role-based access control, data encryption, and integration with Azure Active Directory. These features ensure that sensitive data is protected and that access is granted only to authorized users. In summary, publishing and sharing Power BI reports provide significant advantages in terms of collaboration, accessibility, data management, security, and cost efficiency. Publishing your reports to the Power BI service is a straightforward process that allows you to share and collaborate on your reports online. Here's how to do it. I am in Power BI Desktop. First, you need to ensure that your report is saved locally. If you did that previously, just click Save to make sure you have the newest version. Go to the Home tab in the Power BI Desktop ribbon. Click on the Publish button. Sign in with your Power BI account credentials if prompted. Choose the destination workspace in the Power BI service where you want to publish the report. I will choose my workspace. Click Select to publish the report. Power BI will upload your report to the selected workspace, making it accessible online. After the report is published, you have the option of looking at it in Power BI service by pressing this link. This opens Power BI Service, and you need to sign in if you haven't done that already. And there you have the report. To the left, you have the report pages, and to the right, there is the filters pane. You can edit the report directly in Power BI Service, and the changes will be visible for everybody who has access to this report. However, if you want to edit again from Power BI Desktop, you need to download the latest version from the service. Once your report is published to the Power BI service, you can share it with colleagues, clients, or stakeholders. Open the report, click on the Share button. At the bottom of the pop-up, you have the sharing options. You can copy the link to the report, send it by email, in Teams, or use it in PowerPoint. You can decide who will be able to open the link. Right now, these are the people from my organization, but there are other options here. People who already have access or specific people. Then you can decide what they can do to the report. Should they be able to share it? And should they be able to use the data from this report to build something new? Make sure these settings are correct and press OK. Managing access and permissions is crucial for maintaining data security and ensuring the right people have the appropriate level of access. To ensure effective sharing and collaboration on your Power BI reports, consider the following best practices. Use workspaces. Organize your reports into workspaces based on teams, projects, or departments. This structure simplifies access management and collaboration. Regular updates. Keep your reports up to date by refreshing the data regularly and notifying stakeholders of any changes or new insights. Secure sharing. Always review and configure sharing permissions carefully to protect sensitive data and ensure that only authorized users have access. Feedback loop. Encourage feedback from users to improve report functionality and usability. Use comments, annotations, and collaboration features in the Power BI service to facilitate discussions and enhancements. And that's about it for this short course. Congratulations on reaching the end. You've learned how to build and customize Power BI reports, enhance them with additional elements, and share them effectively with your team and stakeholders. By mastering these skills, you can create compelling, interactive, and insightful reports that drive informed decision-making. Remember to keep exploring Power BI's features and stay updated with the new developments to continuously improve your reporting capabilities. Thank you for participating in this course, and I wish you success in your Power BI